And we'll go. All right. You can take it away, Mark.
All right, evening, everyone. This is the CDAC Advisory Special Education District Advisory Committee meeting, March 22, from 6 to 7. All right, I will go over the agenda, and then we will move on from there. So, first things first, attendance. Present are myself, Fran, Kimberly Petrardi, Latha, Luis, and Joni.
Mhm.
People will be coming in. I'm pretty sure as the evening moves on.
Yes, and Rebecca she'll be here and she'll be taking notes too. But I'll take some notes in the meantime.
Okay, the acceptance of the 2021 of the January minutes. I can't open these, but if you would, Fran, just a quick look over. Okay. Introductions. We did the same thing today. Need for more communication. Oh, okay. These were the minutes taken from the survey. Can you pan down, Fran? Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Am I?
Oh, I think that's too far. I just wanted to. We just want this. There. There's the
Okay.
minutes. Okay.
Yes, minutes.
It's coordinating that. Oh, that was not the. Okay, so let's go. The review of the minutes. Motion was carried to approve the agenda. Introductions were made. Need for more communications for staff in the IEP process was the recurring theme from the parent survey. The other recurring theme was need to have more electives. Okay, these are all correct. Discussion resumed on NPS in Fremont. Goal for August 20 for the next school year. That is correct. It was suggested that there be a way for parents with students with special needs to get together on a regular basis if CDAC could host this. Yes, this is the one that we didn't add this to today's agenda, but I concur that it was part of the minutes of the last meeting. And then the interim chair is coordinating 3 work groups to present before the school board a planning proposal. Oh, okay. So I don't know how this is incorrect. I made a work group of 3 people, not 3 work groups.
Oh, okay.
So that's what.
I'll have Rebecca correct that.
Yeah, it's not 3. Yeah.
So 3.
So it's 3 people. It's a 3-person work group, not 3 work groups.
Okay, I'll have her change that.
Right. Otherwise, the minutes are good.
Okay.
Unless anyone remembers anything to the contrary. Minutes pending that correction, we're good with those. Okay.
I can make a motion to approve the minutes if you like, Mark.
Is that, yeah? Help me out, Joni. I don't know how these work, right?
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, like, okay.
With the correction, I make a motion to approve the minute with the correction made of changing work groups to the number of work.
Correct. Number of person, not 3 work groups, but a 3-person work group.
Yes.
Anyone?
Anybody second?
Yeah, I'm the second. I'll motion for the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you want to say all?
So
you want to say all in favor?
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Carried.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks.
Okay. So a couple of things that to go over today. We're going to talk. This is going to be largely a working meeting, so we're going to go over the proposal or the recommendation. So this is actually, I think this defined presentation team and assigned responsibilities, this is carried over from the past one. What it really will be is that we're going to talk about the recommendation today for the NPS and have the working session where we're going to define what we're asking for as well as the information that has to be inside of it. I will also add an agenda item to close off the minutes from the last one, which is we need to formalize how we're going to create that reach out now to this. What is it? Is it special education PTA? Fran, what's the other group that has a regular discussion?
Yes, special education PTA.
Okay, so that's the other thing that I would like to get done before May, before our next meeting. Okay.
All right, so we've
Oh,
got the
Does
agenda's good. Oh, Joni, you have your hand up?
Sure. Would you like me to make a motion to approve the, adopt the agenda as is?
oh yes, please. Can someone?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as is with exceptions, as with flexibility.
Yeah, well, with the addition, right, of
Yeah.
I wanted to take over I wanted to take up the question of the special education PTA and the reach out.
Yeah. So I make a motion to adopt the agenda with Mark's flexibility.
I second.
Carried. All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. So we only have an hour, so I wanted to just jump into this because we weren't able to meet, unfortunately, over the last 2 months in order to move this forward. I mean, we did meet, myself, Stephanie, and Latha did talk about the recommendation for the NPS. The issue that we also wanted to be, that we had though, was that we felt that we didn't want to go too much forward into the work without being able to understand kind of like the pro forma that goes around making a recommendation. The form, the correct protocol for moving it forward. So to that end, now that we have Fran here, and we had already started, we'd already started talking to her from about half an hour ago. She's going to give us a template to use, which was the last recommendation made for regarding SRO. So she'll provide that to us, and then we're going to use that as kind of like the template to make the rest of the recommendation. But tonight, the pertinent facts that will go into it, we can begin discussion.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and then I would just look to make sure that we have a little time at the end to just talk about the idea of hosting some sort of like some sort of event where parents can talk and like voice their concerns and issues with regard to special education.
Cool. Yes. So we did hold the special ed PTA held a parent night. I believe it was 2 weeks ago on Thursday, and so that was well attended. I think next time maybe this committee can team with that committee and do.
Okay.
They usually do a couple of those a year, so we could do one maybe.
Oh, it's that
year.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it that rare? Okay.
Yeah, no, they do. I think they do one at the beginning of the year, and then there are kind of presentations throughout the year. So, and then there's also they work with the CAC. So you guys maybe have gone to some of those, like they did self-care for parents during COVID. They did a behavior management for like in the home while you're trying to work with your child in distance learning. They did a transition fair. They've done quite a few presentations each month along the CAC. Yeah, it's nice, but I think what I'd like to aim for is to have all of the special ed groups in the district, maybe once a year we all meet together and sort of coordinate things for the following year. If this is your committee, obviously, but I thought, why reinvent the wheel when we can all work together? So that might be something we look at moving forward.
That's correct.
But as Mark said, there's in terms of putting together, this is an advisory committee. So your job is to sort of make recommendations to the Board of Education. And the way that is done is different and you can do it kind of any way that makes sense to you. The most recent advisory committee was the SRO, the School Resource Officer Task Force. And what they did was they collected data, like we've already collected some data, and then they put that together in a presentation. And their recommendation was to eliminate the SRO program. And then the board had to consider that and make a vote. So I'm thinking that might be the way that we go about making a proposal to, as we started last year, looking at having some kind of a non-public school satellite in the district to serve our students who were being sent out of the district, because that was, kind of
Mhm.
what we had planned last year. And so even though our lives were disrupted by this pandemic, I am hopeful that in August things may return to some sense of normalcy. I hope I'm not being naive, but I hope that
Right.
now might be the time to really put this together and move it forward in August. But as
Okay.
Mark said, we were thinking of tonight doing a brainstorm of what it is we want to share with the board. What's the problem, and what's the solution? And so what all I did here was create just a simple table. Can everyone see that okay on the screen there?
Yeah, I think we're fine.
Okay. So
Yes.
I like charts. And so I was thinking we might go through this and each one of you provide input. On the left, I just put what's our current scenario. Our current scenario is we have 55 students who are currently outside of the district in a program that's not ours, right? So in a non-public school. And just as a reminder, non-public schools are certified by the state to provide special education services. It's in what we call a more restrictive setting, meaning that the student is not on a public campus with access to their typical peers, which is
Mhm.
sort of what the law wants. It's not all students can integrate. For some students, it's not necessarily good for them, but for most students, integration into a general ed setting is a really good thing for them. So the law always asks us to consider that. But if you're in a non-public school outside the district on, a fairly isolated campus, and these are wonderful programs, but they are isolated campuses, then you're not able to integrate at all because that's just not a possibility in the actual environment in this setting. So that's our
I
scenario.
have a quick question, Fran, if you don't mind.
Sure.
In the crafting of a recommendation, and I raise this, right, because in my experience, the only thing I have similar are basically business contracts, right? Are we expected to define all of the terms?
So I would say most of the terms we will want to give. The board knows a lot of the terms, but we're also presenting for the general public,
Okay.
because the general public follows what the board is doing and will have questions. So we would want to kind of define things like
We
what.
will. Okay.
Yeah, and not without going into too much detail, just for the record, a non-public school means and that kind of thing. And I can
No,
definitely,
correct.
we can put together like a little cheat sheet because we use a lot of acronyms in special ed and it can be kind of overwhelming. So
Right. I just ask, right, because that's always it helps, right? It helps me understand kind of like the levity, I should say, of the document, the weight it should basically carry, and the overall form of it, right? So if you're looking to define, then it does tell me that okay, we can't just assume like that this document will speak for itself. We kind of like have to walk people through it. Okay.
exactly, yeah, I think that's, so we've got our scenario. That's our starting place. And so right now, what I'd like to do is hear from you all. In the middle column is what are the challenges? Why are we worried about the scenario? What is the problem with the scenario of having 55 students who are being, transported outside the district to get their education? We were just chatting earlier before everyone got on about one of the biggest challenges is transportation, right? They have to get up very early to get on a bus to go outside of Fremont. There's also a cost associated with that. And we don't want to focus too much on cost because our real goal is that our kids maybe come back to the district. But there is a cost associated with that per student. And then there's also tuition costs, which you're always going to have tuition costs. But when you are sending a child to a district that's not, to a program that's not yours, that cost can be pretty astronomical in some cases. And then the question is, could we do the same here at the same cost? It's those kind of things. So if you would just go ahead and share, unmute, and tell me challenges you see in the current scenario.
I would say just the collaboration with other students, just people in their neighborhoods and everything like that. Like you're missing out on all of that. And that's a huge thing.
Right. You're essentially being
Let's say
taken out of your
local
community, I guess. Is that
Right.
what
Correct.
what we're getting at? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. And I would add on to that, that, let's see, how do I say it? Some of those experiences that they're giving them, they're outside of their living area. So I know some of those schools show them how to ride a bus. They take them to local places as part of their field trips and living expenses. So they're not getting exposure in the community where they live for those life skill activities.
Right. Also, I don't think we actually wrote out the fact that so transportation is an issue in terms of cost. Transportation is also an issue in terms of time. So
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you did verbalize it, Fran, but we should just make sure it's not so up to 2 hours each way is lost. So I mean, you said it, but let's make sure we write it down there.
Right. Exactly. It could be excessive.
Projects. Okay.
I'm gonna
So
watch I'm gonna watch my spelling now, Mark, because
Right.
I know you'll
You know-
correct me.
That's right. I
You know, I don't know if this is a thing, but I would just think it's just the variability of having to manage those external relationships and contracts and engagements with the other schools. That somebody's
that's
making
right.
sure those payments go to different directions, and if they change their curricula or their school hours or anything, that's a lot of administrative work for the district because they're engaging with those external parties.
Okay.
That's a good point.
That is curious though. I wonder how much work that is exactly. I can imagine it's quite a bit if like all that
Right, 'cause
negotiation.
I mean, we have 55 students listed here. I don't know how many schools.
Yeah, because I just kind of like assume every student that goes out is almost like a contract negotiation in itself, right? Because they're outside of, the structure, right? So that becomes a thing.
mm. And
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what the I don't want to say reliability. I don't know how the relationship do the non-public schools, are they always the same? Are you ending up with, the schools they change their hours, they're low in enrollments, but those types of things, do they close? I'm just thinking there was a school here in Fremont, what is it, Stellar Academy, I think it is, and their model just shifted multiple times. That's one of the reasons I didn't send my daughter there, because it just was inconsistent.
I am curious about that. Does anybody know like how quality control is basically being exercised right now on non-public schools?
Yes, so that's managed by the CDE, issues accreditation or certifies the schools the same way they certify us through like the WASC process.
Well, right, I get that. I get that you need an accreditation, right, in order to be in the. But let's say let's assume you're accredited, right, and then someone's already sending their kid to. I hear some of these are like in Santa Cruz or like San Rafael, right? how do you check on, do you just basically trust the parents to raise an issue if necessary? How do you check that, there's a contract that you made with each of these organizations, right? How do you know that's actually being delivered?
So yeah, we have our program specialists. When a student is sent to a non-public school, like such as a Nova, one of our
Okay.
program specialists, Courtney, manages that case. So she would be conferring with
Okay.
the school, going to meetings. But it can be an issue where we want to make sure we're checking in regularly, and then the state also checks in because these NPSs they're accredited, but they can lose that accreditation if anything goes wrong. And
Got it.
so they are being monitored, but it's really important to monitor the school district, to monitor it too, not just to rely on the state as the agency who issues that accreditation. So we want to also do our due diligence to make sure that everything um, is solid at these schools. If we feel like the student is not being served, then those are the questions we want to ask in an IEP. Like, why is he not making progress in your program? What do we need to do? Or does he need a different program? So I'm glad you brought this up because quality control is huge.
Right.
And it's really up to us to manage that.
Okay.
I would add another note, just, I don't know, parent customer satisfaction or parent
Right.
parent satisfaction. I know for me as a parent, when, prior to Fran coming on board, there was a little bit of a gap that occurred, unfortunately, when my daughter transitioned with schools. But I went through a whole lot to try to find answers and schools. And I'm a public school advocate. I went to public school, but it would have been so much better for me. My satisfaction level with the district would have been better if somebody said there's going to be something inside of the school district where my daughter could be. I would have had a greater comfort level and just, really appreciated that. But just in terms of just parent, I think support and just comfort. I would have rather had an in-district placement if I had thought there would have been an option for her. Sorry, I know I didn't articulate that well. I don't know how else to express it, but I would have gone inside before I would have ever considered going outside.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. I think most parents are in that boat where there is sort of maybe even a sadness that there's not a program here for my child. Why can't
Right.
you create one? And I think that was Feda's dream, was that every child, and it's lofty, right? I'm not sure that we could ever serve every child, but I think we could serve a lot more if we brought a satellite in. And we are focused on autism because of the 55 students, probably half of them are students with autism. And then the remainder are probably students with emotional disturbance. Those are our two categories that really require a lot of support, and therefore they're at non-public schools.
Okay. Did we want to add anything else to this portion?
Well, I'm wondering, Fran, on that key point that she just contributed, because I know it kind of went into that solution oriented. I wonder if we could kind of rephrase that and put it as the challenge, and then maybe put that solution next to that on the other column. Do you think that would work? Meaning that maybe
So pair the challenge with the solution?
Well, no, meaning that it said parent satisfaction is important. Parents might prefer an in-district placement with support. I'm kind of thinking that's more of the solution piece, but I was wondering if we highlighted the challenge there. Because I think we can highlight the challenge there, that parent satisfaction is important. Having, children at not having the availability at their own, in their own district causes dissatisfaction, or how she was kind of phrasing that. I was wondering if we could kind of highlight that more as the challenge there.
Yes, yes, parent concerns
Oh,
and,
so
you know, I don't know if, well, I guess it was at a, you know, in a way, a frustration with not having an in-district placement option.
right.
It felt more like despair than frustration, I have to say.
Yeah. We can read that out, yeah.
Right. So the chat. What is the challenge? The challenge is parents do not have. The challenge is that parent frustration at not having an in-district solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that work? Maybe.
It highlights it better. What is everyone else?
Okay. Right. Ultimately, I think what will happen, right, is that we'll formulate this into the proposal anyway, right? And so we can wordsmith it again there.
Yeah,
at that point.
Yeah, just gathering notes. I think this is really a brainstorm, and we can sort of.
Right. What'll happen is, I think, like Latha, Kim, and Latha, Stephanie, and I will sit down and then draft the actual recommendation, which hopefully we can review next time, so that it'll be there. But right now, I think it's important to get the points in, so that we can craft a recommendation knowing that everyone's had their input.
One more question. Do we have any transition program also? Like, remember when they finish the high school and then when they're going after the high school, what is the program? Do we have any transition program? Does it come in this umbrella?
We have district transition programs, YIP and YAP. And then the non-public schools also have transition programs for students 18 to 22.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is the. Oh, go ahead.
I'd say just one last concern. It was just safety. Safety with the long transportation and safety at, you know.
Oh yeah, being so far away from home. That's true.
Yes. Long ride to school. You know, how, you know, what does safety look like at that school? But yes, being so far away.
Right.
There's
I mean,
concerns
if
regarding
you're
safety.
right, if your child is in Santa Cruz and something happens,
Yes.
that would be terrible for you.
Right. And hardship. I mean, you know, sometimes kids feel fine in the morning, but then midday, maybe something happens and they need to be retrieved. And that, you know, that imposes a hardship.
Yeah, you can't just pick them up.
Right.
Okay.
Especially like on minimum days when they come home and we are not available at home.
Right.
Picking them from school bus is like always a challenge for especially parents.
Okay, so shall we move on to the solutions? So
yes, let's have it on campus. Let's have it in district.
Right. So I mean, that's really the solution, right? That's the proposal, basically. Let's just formulate the proposal, right? So the proposal is, I think that the Fremont School District will have a, you know, we'll have an NPS satellite. Well, what is the word what is the definition I'm looking for? We'll have an NPS satellite
Campus
program
Services
located at a viable public school site. I guess that's what we'll do. With a vetted vendor partner. Or should we say with one or more vetted vendor partners?
That's good. I like that.
Is that the proposal then? Did I miss something in that?
And then our goal, no, I like it. I think that's what we've been getting at for the past, year and a half. And then we
Okay.
might, so in terms of a goal,
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Fran. I just forgot something. The FUC will have an NPS Allied program to service, what was it? It's not, we'll have we'll have an NPS Allied program to service students. What type of students? That's what I'm trying to get at now. Do you call them, well, all the students are special needs, right? So what is the students who have needs outside of the special needs program? What's the word I'm looking for? What is the collective term for these students who are currently being serviced outside of the school district?
Currently inside a non-public school.
Right. Okay, so we'll just do it in two steps. I would have liked to say it. I would have liked to say it in like a single line, but this works too. We're currently being served outside of the district.
Yeah. So
okay.
NPSs, and I think what's hard, or the other challenge, everybody agrees we need to add a program or two, even depending on the number of students. But we also have to bear in mind that we won't be able to bring all 55 students back.
Correct.
So we might want like a goal of maybe of the 55, we bring 10 back in a year. And that
okay.
would be over a year, because sometimes parents also have established a relationship at their non-public school. They really like it and they're afraid to change, even if it's the same non-public agency that runs their school that would be coming to partner with us. The parent might still be like, you know what, he's happy,
Correct.
I'm happy, so I'm not sure about this. So it would take some time to really give the parent that confidence. Yeah.
Correct. But we're not doing this simply for that parent who's currently happy with their, like down the road, a new parent will show up who has no current affiliation with a non-public school, right? And that person will just be like, oh, I don't want my kid to go on a 2-hour commute. I'd rather just send him here, right? So I that's more of like who I'm thinking about, rather than clearly the person who's happy in San Rafael. Okay, fine, right? that's no issue at all there. Okay, so I think the other key piece that has to happen.
Happy in San Rafael. I think there's a movie called that, right?
Yeah, maybe next meeting we can show it and we'll all have like film viewing. All right, so so a couple of things, I think. Are there any definitions that we should make? I think we should define the students who we're going to define the students who we're going to attempt to serve in district. So I don't know if we have a list of the conditions and the issues or the programs, I guess, that we actually want to be able to bring into Fremont. Yes, Johnny, go ahead.
Mark, I think, boy, you guys made such great progress so far. I was wondering, above the solution where it talked about FUSD will have an NPS satellite program located at a viable public school site with one or more embedded partners. I mean, such a fine point on that. But I was wondering if we can tease it out a little bit before we
okay.
There would be like, what is the committee basically, what is the committee basically saying? We want to limit we want to reduce transportation time and cost for our students, right?
I get it. Right.
So like, what are we actually we're trying to solve these problems.
I get it.
Right, and concerns. So we want to like say, okay, this is what we're looking at, reducing the commute time for excessive commute time that's
I get it.
having, right? And how could we do that? bring them closer to
I get
home,
it.
those kind of things. And then,
Right.
and then zero in on that. I was wondering if that might help. Because sometimes when the board hears, we already know where we want to go, but you have to kind of give them a roadmap there. Say, you gave them the problems and then just say, okay, well, let's reduce that commute time. Let's have more equitable program to where if we consolidate this program here, there's more bookkeeping, better bookkeeping, or we can consolidate to it's more equitable.
Correct.
All those students in Fairmont Unified getting the same piece. They'll be in their neighborhood schools if it's closer to home. Those kind of things that we would just kind of pinpoint it a little bit and tease it out a little bit. What do you think? Would that be helpful?
Absolutely. I get it, right? So let's try to encapsulate the entire thing now inside that first statement. I get, whereas typically, like I said, from my experience, typically I would have this at the very end of whatever paper that whatever white paper I'm working on. But I get what you mean, right? Let's have it all in kind of like one thesis statement at the very beginning, right? So it would basically read, the FUSD will have an NPS satellite program located at a viable public school site in the district with one or more vetted vendor partners. Program should serve students who are currently being served outside of the district. This program would then reduce costs.
Well,
right. So the next statement would then be, this program, by virtue of this program, we would reduce cost and time. You know what I mean? It's like then we can make a statement regarding what the benefits are.
Yeah, and I think I know the board's looking at cost too, but I know for you as parents, as I'm listening to all of you, it's more the student, right? You want the student you want them closer to home if an emergency comes up. You want them to not be on these long bus rides. So you're kind of highlighting that as well, right?
Sometimes even the anxiety, they get frustrated sitting for a long time. So
yeah,
their health, it's a, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, cost is just one factor. It definitely, I think parents, it's the community. The thing I hear the most is, I want my child to make friends with kids in my neighborhood so that I don't have to drive him to, and they'll do it, to go to a date or a party, they will do it. But they're like, I don't want to drive to Redwood City because that's where Johnny lives and that's his best friend now. They love Johnny and they want him to have friends, but when you make your relationships at a non-public school that's way away from home, that's how your life is. And I think parents want a more normalized experience, where my other child plays soccer with all the girls in our neighborhood and those are her friends, but my son or my other daughter has to go outside of Fremont to get educated. And I think that's really the crux of it. And these car rides in Bay Area traffic, they're long trips. And it's not the best scenario for students. If it has to happen, parents understand that, like, this is the best program for him. But if there's another way to do it, I think parents are more likely to want their student. I want him in our neighborhood. I want him in Fremont. I want to be able to get to him if he's not feeling well. If there's an emergency, I want to be able to get to him quickly.
Just a quick question regarding that. So should we just transpose essentially the problems listed in the middle column into the third column?
Yeah, I was thinking it's a good brainstorm. I thought we would just kind of throw our ideas out there and then we can sort of tweak it and have it fit. When we come up with our proposal, these are the details we looked at.
Right. I don't know. Is there a solution? Is there a benefit, I guess, that isn't a direct correlation to one of one of the challenges that's listed, right? I'm just trying to think, because there could be, right, overall. Is there?
Well, and we can consider, the law. Special ed law is, and Joni, one of our special ed teachers, can tell you that least restrictive environment is very powerful for students. And that's what the law is. It says students should be in the environment where they have access to, normalizing activities like extracurricular and, being in my own community and not having to drive 45 minutes to an hour to school. So that's called LRE, or least restrictive
Right,
environment.
restricted environment, right.
So that's
Oh, so even,
Well, that actually brings up some points just with things like, I mean, I don't know how it would work with things like extracurricular activities, clubs and sports and, for high school, social activities, dances and things like that. Um, if they would have, an opportunity for those things in their own community, knowing kids in the area.
well, I guess the question that would would flow from that, the one that I have at least, is that if you have like a vendor partner here in Fremont, does the school district have like better control over what that vendor partner's teaching program and extracurricular program would be like?
Yes, it would be, because they would do it if they were housed here in Fremont, then the activities they offer would be, in this community, which is nice. But they also, we collaborate very closely with Seneca, who's one of our
Hmm.
current partners.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we're right there. We get to work with them all the time. And so this would,
Okay, so collaboration improves then, right? Because I would assume your collaboration with Seneca is better than your collaboration with Santa Cruz. I guess would be would be the way I would look at it.
Well, sometimes proximity just allows that to occur.
Exactly. Yeah,
Because
it's very natural.
Yeah, it's natural.
I do have a question, and I'm sorry if I'm going off the page a little bit here, but I'm just thinking of in our brave new world of online education, and if there would be any options, um, either with those. Um, uh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. We're saying our statement there is a viable public school site in the district. I don't know if there's any hybrid solutioning that we would do or anything where we would incorporate any remote learning. Um, it's just a thought, and I'll tell you
Mhm.
part of my context is simply, knowing my daughter has a lot of medical appointments, and I know kids with special needs tend to have a lot of medical appointments. And if they're, you know, even having the flexibility where you turn off the computer at 2:30, they can actually have a 3 o'clock appointment as opposed to getting them to campus and it's a little bit later. But I don't know. I don't even know what the NPS is, if any of them are now offering any hybrid options, or if that be something we're going to consider, or how things are going to work post-COVID. But um, I don't think we should, maybe there could be
We should
some hybrid
right. We shouldn't
model there
right.
for kids.
No, we definitely shouldn't overlook it, but I think that will reveal itself when we actually talk to the vendors, right, and see what they offer from their side. Because um, for all we know, they already have these things in place, right, and they already have kind of like a remote program and all that, right. So that's something that we'll find out as we talk to the possible vendors, right. Um, we could make it a recommendation that they must have kind of like hybrid or remote possibility. But like I said, I think at this point, let's just see what they've got, and let's just see how they do it before before we kind of like set something in
Now,
stone, right?
that's just my thought, is if they have something and that's part of what they have on the table is what they do.
Hmm.
Um, would that be any savings? It would eliminate the
Right.
transportation costs. It wouldn't eliminate a unique tuition, but maybe it's less if it's remote. I don't
Mhm.
know. But I just thought, I don't know what school's gonna look like going
Right.
forward, but I didn't want to not leave that out, because
Right.
the schools themselves, the partners may present what their online.
Right. The other thing, the other thing then I think that will help this is I think we should add as part of the recommendation is that the CDAC committee will continue to monitor and be a part of the vendor discussions so that we can make a recommendation on which vendor to go with at the end of the selection period. I think I think that would be an important part of this because I don't know if I want, I think we should state that, right? That I think we should have a say ultimately, like be able to make a recommendation. We think this is the best program or the best vendor to run this program. So we'll just kind of like call that out already.
I just have one more question. I don't know whether it's related to this or not. Like, generally in high school, students, they go for volunteering also, like
Mhm.
volunteering hours. I don't know, do they get anything like that for the special need kids also if they wanted our students to do volunteering and get some experiences? Is there some options or any vendor who would like to help our students? Did I make my point clear?
Right. No, I mean I think what you're saying is that if there are vendors out there who foster volunteer activities and kind of like community activities with their charges with the community they're in. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's going to be something that should be one of our points of consideration as we look over it, which is why I think it's just important that we remain a part of the process, because yeah, ultimately it's our kids that are going to be serviced by the vendor, right? So we should remain a part of the selection process ultimately.
I also feel like sometimes it will like because it's like an hour kind of services. It may help them for independent skill also. Like leaving like an hour may start helping them. Okay, I can. It's just an 1 hour. I can do little bit productive work, and
Mhm.
parents will pick it up. So it will give that slowly 1 hour of independent, and we can build it up later. That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely, you can call that out.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be aware of the time, and I just want to basically now call out Letha and Stephanie. Um, do we feel like we have enough to go on? I mean, we're going to be getting the template. We're going to use the past recommendation as the template. But I feel, do we have enough information already to make the recommendation, which we're going to work on, in the coming weeks?
So we are continuing with the same document, right? With whatever the documents you're
Well,
going to
no.
share. Or
This is
this is
just
the
this
points.
is just
Okay.
the yeah. These are just the points, right? We're going to translate them into the template that the previous recommendation is going to provide us.
Yeah, if Miss France, if she can provide us, maybe we'll take a look
Mhm.
and we'll go on over that one. Yeah, I
Right,
think it gave us a good idea. At least
right.
we would not have thought about this many points by ourselves.
Go ahead, Joni.
Yeah. Mark, quick question here. So what is your goal? What is the goal in terms of getting this presentation to what board meeting?
Well, I want to write it as soon as possible and then basically get it out. I mean, the target has always been like August. Um, so I'm hoping that
The August
I
board
don't.
meeting?
Well, no, it was this basically recommendation would be in place before August. Um, so I think we talked about April being floated out there. May, I guess, is a possibility.
Well,
Um,
I know the board has to do, they'll be adopting their budget, right? So I know if this is something to be looked at for next year,
mhm.
Brad, maybe you could speak to that a little bit as well. In
Yeah,
terms
what
of when
is
would be a key time to present this to the school board? So they can, because I think what happens are a couple steps, right? You present this, and then if they agree with the recommendation, then they kick it back to staff and then you kind of look at vendors to see if then they'd have to go in that next direction too, right? What are your thoughts, Fran?
Yeah, so the way that it works is, as Mark said, we sort of we hold a series of meetings to see what kind of proposal they can give us and what type of services they can offer and whether or not they can even provide a program at one of our sites. And then what we would do is then you gather kind of what we call bids. And then we would have to sort of as a group determine which we felt was the program we should go with. And if we can't find one this year, or maybe we don't feel good about the ones that we do find, maybe we just keep looking. And it's not to say you don't have to start every program in August, right? We could even start a program in
Mhm.
January. It's just if we felt like we didn't find an agency that could offer us what we feel we need to for our current scenario and our proposed solutions, then we would want to keep
right?
looking.
But I guess the important thing is to make sure that we just get the recommendation in there, then the ball starts rolling, basically. Is that how I understand this? That's how this all works, correct?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes. So what they want to hear, what the board will want from us is you've looked at the problem or the challenge and you have a proposed solution, and then they will want to give us guidance. Okay, we agree. We think this is a challenge that needs to be addressed with that solution. Go ahead and move forward with your recommendation, because we're advisory, so we're advising the board. This is an identified issue, and we've discussed what the problems are. We've been talking about this for a year and a half, and we've done some parent research, and we've talked to some non-public agencies, and we've talked as a team, so as a committee. And so now we're ready to say we need to move forward and formalize some type of a program for the district.
Frank, can I ask when does the board meet? And is it possible to watch that?
Yeah, you can watch all the old ones too.
They tape them. Yeah, they record them.
Yeah, I'm just curious, right? It might give us like a better idea of like how these recommendations play out. If I see like some of these going on.
You know, there are hours and hours and hours.
Sometimes even I think it goes till midnight. I heard.
Yes,
well, you know.
I've stayed on for a few. I mean, they're good. They're conducting business, but they can be long.
Oh yeah.
You might just want to look at how they present. How are you kind of more looking at how?
That's what I'm looking for. I just want
at the board meeting. If we can look at some past agendas and see when they presented, because even last year there's been some board presentations. So if you take a snapshot at that, you could just look at the presentation.
Right.
They even upload like the presentations on the agenda. You don't have to go back to the videos, but you can click on the agenda for a presentation that's going to be shown at the board meeting. That could be anybody presenting. It could be a vendor that's presenting to the board to say, hey, buy our, go with us. It could be a task force like the SRO that presented all their data and their charts and things like that. So you can look at all of that through the agenda items on Fremont website.
Correct. Yeah, I'm just generally aware, right, that you always have to approach, whoever you approach, you need to approach them in the same arena, I should say, or like in the same setting that they're used to, right? Which I understand, not being of the academe, I probably have a disconnect regarding how the board would, how to make a presentation, because clearly I feel that I already get the sense that I would not present to the board the same way I would present to like a client, right? I don't feel it's going to be the same thing. And so I think I would want to understand that a little bit, or maybe a lot, before I do this, right? Because it's funny. It's like even just starting with this committee, I've never felt so out of water in such a long time.
So Mark, the SRO task force, that was the last kind of major initiative. And that was at the December meeting.
Okay.
And well, it might have been so they meet twice a month on Wednesdays. So the next meeting is this Wednesday. So you might want to tune in and just check it out. As people shared, it can be, they're very long meetings and there's a lot of business at hand, but you can kind of see how they format it, and they follow the Brown Act and the rules of order. And then if you have time, what I'll do is I'll go back and find some of the advisory agendas, and the committees do them in different ways. So we have a little bit of freedom, but you want to present what is the challenge, what is the solution, this is the recommendation. And so we can format that how we feel it will present best, but that's basically our charge, is to solve the problem and have the board tell us, yes, we like this, we want you to move forward with this, and work on this program.
I'm very much curious. It's really interesting. It's turning to be very interesting turn, I feel. Something good to learn. It's something good good experience. Yeah.
Right. Like I said, especially for me, this is all, it's all strange to me, right? It's just a different way of doing things, which I didn't think Well, I didn't think people did things this way. Right?
You know, when Mark asked who wants to help me, I was like scratching my head. I don't know anything. I just accepted.
Right.
I'm scratching my head and I'm trying to get some information, everything
Right.
overhead.
And it's still to this day, right? I'm still, it amazes me, and I think it's great, right? When I see, like, Fran and Jody, and they just understand this pro forma, this way of doing things, right? Which, it's clearly their language, right? And so I
That's
think
true. Yeah, they're
I,
well
I
experienced.
right, I owe it to the board to at least kind of like have some background in it, before I, because otherwise I would have just basically treated them as like a sales presentation, right? Which might not be the right thing. Okay. So that said, we have 3 minutes. The last item I think that I just want to make sure that we tackle is, Fran, for reaching out to the special education, um, PTA. Should I just join them? Are you going to make an intro? What's the best way that I can talk to them and get a conversation going?
Yep. So the chairperson is Konica, so I can connect you with her, and I think we should try to do like a spring parent gathering with our two committees. I think that would be fun, and let people ask questions, or we could even have some kind of a speaker, a guest speaker, and then a question and answer. Maybe kind of collect from parents a little, like, what is something you'd like to hear about at this time of the year, or something like that. But yeah, I'll connect you with Konica, and then we can take it from there. So I just got, I don't know what happened on the invite. I put the Zoom link in there, and then I put people by their email, but it looks like Rebecca can't get in, and I don't know how to fix it. So I told her I would catch up with her later. Because you all were able to get in, right? So
right, but it's actually very simple. She's probably not logged into the same email that you put down in the invite.
Oh, is that it?
That's usually how people can't get in, right? It's
like
she's logged in. She's probably logged in on her, because I'm aware of that all the time, right? I have a personal email account and a business account, right? So oftentimes I'm on my business account, and then I try to log into a family Zoom, and I can't get in, right? Because the browser is basically on my business account.
So you know what I might do is I might hit reply to the whole calendar invite and just remind people to make sure they're logged in, because I'm wondering if some other people couldn't get in either, because
today even I didn't get the reminder. I was luckily I just saw the email and I got in.
Oh, did you not? I see your name on the invite, on the Google invite. Did you not receive it?
I didn't get it. That's what I was asking someone to share the link. I don't know. Wait, is it my personal email, or I'll try to look in one more time.
Yeah, I wonder. I think I sent it to your personal one, not your teaching one. Or not your district email?
Yeah, I'll check it one more time again.
Oh, okay. I see you on the invite though, so it's some glitch, I guess. Maybe it's like Mark said.
It's on yahoo.com.
Yeah, that's what, like, for that one, when I clicked that link, it was saying I cannot join the meeting. I was trying to, for that Google, whatever you shared, right? I was trying to click on that link, but it was showing that you cannot join the meeting. I could not join it all.
Oh, strange.
Yeah, that's happened with me.
Well, hopefully it's more case by case, because it looks like you all were able to get in. How did you get in, Leifa? Did we?
I sent the link directly to
you.
Mark
sent me the link.
Okay, so next time what I will do is I'll make sure that I put it in the invite, and then I also email it. I'm the kind of person if someone wants me to go to a meeting, I always put it on my calendar, because then I don't miss it, and put the link right there. So I guess there's could be something having.
That's why I was trying to get into my calendar also. I didn't get the logins. That Zoom meeting, and then I looked into that email also last time, but it was not allowing me to get into the meeting link at all.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to go before our next meeting. I'm going to clean all that up and maybe delete all the old links and just put a new one in and have one link to the meeting. So, okay. Well, it's 7:00, and thank you, Luis, for broadcasting us. And we are ready to end, right?
Joni, will you do the honors of the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to end this very productive meeting this evening.
It was productive, yeah. And
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say if the work group could stay on afterward just for a minute when Louis stops the recording.
Okay.
If we can look at some dates.
Sure, yeah, I'll do.
Good.
Cool.
Do we have does someone second it? I'm learning.
I will second.
You're amazing, Mark. Yay for Mark.
Thanks, Kimberly.
You're welcome.
Yay or nay?
Yay.
All
Yay.
right. All right, carried. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Stephanie.